Section 3.4, example 8, finding the domain of a composite function. So find the domain of f of g of x, where f of x is equal to 5 over x minus 1, and g of x is equal to 4 over 3x minus 2. So first off, let's find the domain of each of those individually. So f of x, so the domain, we're starting off with f of x. So domain is x minus 1 cannot equal 0, plus 1, plus 1. So x cannot equal 1. And now let's find it for g of x. So for g of x, our domain, our values where 3x minus 2 cannot equal 0. So plus 2, 3x cannot equal 2. Divide by 3, divide by 3. X cannot equal 2 over 3, or 2/3. Now let's see where these functions are. So we're starting off with f of g of x. G is our inside function. So G is what we're inputting. And I don't know why the 3 didn't come out. G is what we're inputting. So we could absolutely not have x equal to 2 over 3. So far, that's what we have. If we have our domain here on like a number line, that's where we're starting off. 2 over 3, x cannot equal 2 over 3. So we're going to have an open circle there. But now we have the input into f of x. So into f of x, the domain cannot equal 1, but we're still looking at parts that we're inputting. So we're inputting into g of x first. What we have to find is where g of x is equal to 1 and exclude that value. So let's give that a shot. So where our function, our function g of x is equal to 1, because that's what's going to make this undefined. So we have 4 over 3x minus 2 equal to 1, because it should not equal 1. And we could start solving from here. So to get rid of those fractions, we can multiply both sides by 3x minus 2. That would be over 1. Those 2 would divide out, but what we do to one side, we also have to do to the other. So we end up with 4 is equal to here. Anything times 1 is just going to be itself. So we have 4 is equal to 3x minus 2, and start solving for x. We have 3x equals 6. Or actually, all of these are can't. These can't equal these values. So x cannot equal 2. So we have that value as well, 2. So we could include all of these other values so that we find our domain. So now looking at this number line here, our domain, and this is the domain for f of g of x. So the domain for f of g of x is this right here. So from negative infinity all the way up to 2/3. Parentheses for open circle, because we don't want it to end up there. So 2/3. Now we're looking at this chunk. So starting at 2/3 and going all the way up to 2. Right before 2. And our last chunk is going to be this value here. Union 2 up to infinity. So this here is our domain for x. If this is confusing at all, what you could also do is just look at your inside function, find that domain, find the function f of g of x, and just see where we're undefined there. Once you have those 2 values, it ends up being all of that right there. And that's it. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I know this was kind of confusing, and I'm willing to work with anyone that needs extra help. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Otherwise, bye.